Good evening. I'm standing in the ring where in just over 48 hours' time, the Irishman Barry McGuigan will try to win the world featherweight crown from the outstanding champion Eusebio Pedroza of Panama in front of 25,000 people paying up to £100 a seat. It's the biggest outdoor boxing occasion in this country since 1966, when Henry Cooper fought Muhammad Ali at the Arsenal football ground. This fight also takes place in a soccer stadium. This ring is built slap in the centre of the Queen's Park Rangers pitch at Shepherd's Bush in West London. Well, as you can see, the weather is hardly ideal. The canopy, of course, is not yet on this ring. They're just putting the lighting up. Then the canopy will go over. We can only hope that on Saturday night the weather will be a good deal better than this, because we are talking of £1 million production. Pedroza alone will earn close to that, and it's cost £180,000 to transform this soccer stadium into a fight arena. Much of that money has been spent overlaying QPR's artificial turf with plywood, which had to be impregnated to make it fireproof. This afternoon, the GLC safety inspectors gave Loftus Road the thumbs up. Now, a little later on, I shall be going back to the television centre, which is hardly more than a stone's throw from here, to join our two guests. Dennis Taylor, who's already taken the World Snooker Championship to Northern Ireland this year, and Alan Minter, who knows all about the business of winning world boxing titles. Both fighters are now winding down their training. Early this morning, the champion, Pedroza, left his Park Lane hotel on his way to the usual run round Hyde Park. And this afternoon, Douglas Hurd, the Secretary of State for Northern Ireland, popped into McGuigan's hotel near Marble Arch to wish the little Irishman good luck.
Yeah.
Nice to see you.
Well, the very best of luck to you.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
You're looking forward to it.
Well, I've trained very hard. I've done all my work. It's all over now, so it's time to knuckle down.
Later on, both men were summoned to a test weigh-in, which took place at the gym in Soho, where Pedroza's been working out. For McGuigan, this was an excursion into the enemy camp.
Right.
So, kill him!
Well, both men arrived in this country earlier in the week, Pedroza and McGuigan came here to London hoping that all the hard work, all the hard training had been left behind him in Ireland. Belfast has gone McGuigan crazy. This banner, specially painted, cost these fans over £500. You look in a shop window, McGuigan looks back. Travel agents can barely cope with the demand.
Good afternoon, JWT. Can I help you? We are offering a weekend return, one night out on the Saturday and back on Saturday evening after the flight.
Thank you very much indeed.
Okay, thank you for calling. Bye-bye.
Has there been a lot of interest in the fight?
There has indeed, Harry. We've had a lot of interest in the various types of packages that there are available, either going over by plane or going over by boat. There's a lot of people interested in seeing Barry McGuigan fight. Everybody's very, very confident that Barry's going to win.
And you yourself, you feel that?
Oh, yes, and I'm going to be there to make sure he does.
Oh, you are?
Yes, I'm going over.
Do you have to pay for your ticket as well?
I'll talk to Mr. Walsh about that one.
Meanwhile, the man all Ireland is rooting for carries on the build-up to the big night. He calls his Alsatian Duran, after the fighter he admires most, Roberto Duran of Panama. Panama, of course, is where Pedroza comes from. A few miles from Belfast is the sleepy seaside town of Bangor. Barry comes here before every big fight and stays contentedly in the same friendly guest house.
Well, I feel very comfortable here, and it's quiet, and it's out of the way, and it's where I like to come, and it's sort of like home from home, you know. The woman that looks after me, Mrs. Anderson, she's a great girl, and she takes care of me well, and she's an ex-nurse, and any problems I have, she's great, you know. The food is excellent, and it's beautiful scenery, and it's got the best of fresh air, and you're out of the city, and the people are great. They don't interfere, they don't upset your routine.
A crucial part of that routine is the early morning jog beside the shore. No one disturbs him, the sea air is good. These quiet runs mean a great deal to a fighter.
Well, I enjoy training. I enjoy conditioning myself and get myself into shape, and I enjoy the sparring when it's coming close to a fight. But there is a lot of the boxing, parts of boxing that I don't like. To see fighters that get thrown in at the deep end, really, and taking stick when really they don't need to take it. And a lot of fights being allowed to go further than they should be, and different things like that. And unfortunate people, I don't like to see that end of the sport, and mind you, there is a lot of that.
In his last fight at Wembley, Barry had just such a no-hoper in front of him, the hapless Farid Galouz of France.
He's just thrown in at the deep end the way I looked at it. So I said I wanted to do the job as quickly as possible. I didn't really want to hurt him or punish him in any way. And I went back to the corner. Mr. Eastwood said, look, this kid shouldn't be in here with you. Just take him out of there as quick as you can. He was practically out on his feet at that stage. And the lad was upset himself. And I mean, I hit him with a left jab and put his head back and hit him with a left hook. And then I remember pausing and sort of waiting for the referee to do something, and he didn't. He stepped in and I nailed him with another left hook, and then he fell down and the towel came fluttering in there. But it's not one of the fights, I mean, I learned nothing from that fight, and I don't think it done the young fella any good either, And, those sort of fights are no benefit to me.
In Belfast, Barry's gym is in the same building as his manager's betting shop. The curious odds reflect the money pouring in on Barry.
I think that Pedroza is a legendary fighter. He's a legend in his own lifetime, and he's going for his 20th defence now. And I think he'll take an awful lot of beating. In fact, if Barry were to lose the fight on points, it would be no shame, because, I mean, Pedroza has beaten everyone in his last 19 defences. All the current champions, he's beaten them all.
I don't think the people realise just how good this fella is. A lot of people are saying, there's no problem, you'll beat him, this sort of thing. But I don't think they really understand. I'm glad, I'm very pleased that they've got confidence in me, but I don't think they realise how good this guy is. He's really exceptionally good, and he's been the champion for 7 or 8 years, and he's defended against everybody.
Like many fighters, Barry uses music to train. There's a pleasing harmony, too, in the way his fans from both the Shankill and Falls Road areas come together in the common cause.
Personally, my opinion, and I think the province will have to fry the weight off him to get down to 9 stone.
It's a mystery to me how he's made 9 stone this long.
That's right.
All your members of the fan club looking forward to this fight?
Oh, we are sure. Much looking forward. We thought we were going to go to Las Vegas. Or Atlantic City, we thought we would have been going too.
Was it a sort of unanimous decision to say, yes, we'll all go to London to see the fight?
Oh, yeah. Unanimous decision, yes.
Desi, it's wonderful that you two gentlemen will stand here like this and watch Barry train. Do the two clubs sort of go together in support of McGuigan?
Everybody goes together and support him. Everybody. He's just our type of a lad, That he means a lot to the people here, all around, from every.
It must be a wonderful thing for the community that here's a young man who can do this, who can bring two sides together like this.
Great.
And support.
It's great,
Now, what about when you go to see the fight in London? Will the two clubs, will they go together? You travel together?
Yeah, everybody will go together. We'll get drunk together when he wins. We'll come home together.
McGuigan's going to win, yes? Lovely.
And if we can go together, we can live together.
That's us. And we'll come back together.
Yes.
Great, great. Athlete Mary Peters also united Ireland and understands Barry's appeal.
Yes, I think Barry is such a nice, homely family man that he goes to all sections of the community and right across the province, and he is just a sportsman. Nobody cares where he comes from or what religion he is, and he is a very special guy.
Many a forgotten disc has praised Barry's deeds, but this time a group of friends called the New York Connection has come up with a song which has true chart potential. If he wins the world title, both Barry and the song will be #1 in Ireland.
Later on, he'll fight the war, 'cause he's the right to dare it all. His mind drifts away to thoughts of another day. When he was young, he had a dream to be #1.
Barry's bubbling personality has given him an entree into the world of chat shows and commercials. In a moment, we'll show you his first television commercial. But first, let's remember how he once upstaged another genial Irishman.
Hey, what's so special about you? What have you got, do you think, that makes you different?
Well, I think I have a lot of natural assets, like of big hands and long arms. And speaking of
the old
big hands,
knuckles don't go get on the ground walking along, do they?
No, my grandfather used to have a great one. He used to say, you see, look at me, he used to say, look at the length of that jacket, and the arms, he says, they're far too long, you know, and he used to have very long arms. But as I say, I've got a wee present for you here. I must just show you this. This is to stop you from picking your nose.
I didn't think anybody had noticed that.
Oh, there you go.
Ah, thanks very much. That's marvellous little gloves. That's right. I should wear them over my nose-picking fingers.
3 new taste-tingling snacks cooked only with pure sunflower oil.
My new snacks are world class.
This is only beginning, of course. As he's become more famous, more people have become interested in him as a means to sell their product. But throughout Northern Ireland, everyone knows him back to front. Everyone is behind him. Everyone's giving him their full support. In fact, someone approached me in the street the other day, Harry, and told me that Barry McGuigan is the only superstar today that they know that they're proud their sons and daughters support. Right through the community here in Northern Ireland, from grandmothers to young children, they all support Barry McGuigan. And when he wins the world title, if fingers crossed he does, there'll be a big party here in Northern Ireland for several weeks, I imagine.
Barry's home, his real home, is across the border, in the tiny town of Clones. This is where Barry, a Catholic, worked in the family grocery store opposite the hotel owned by his wife's Protestant family. Usually, Sandra stays with him when he's training, but her sister's gone on holiday, so Sandra's been left in charge of the family hairdressing salon in Clones. Barry and Sandra's son Blaine is getting on for 2. The arrival of puppies bred by Barry's father Pat has given the young man a new interest in life. Meanwhile, world title fight or not, Barry's mother must continue to serve the customers. Her youngest son, Daniel, can lift 2 bags of spuds, but she tells me that Barry, at the same age, could carry his own weight in potatoes.
So do you have?
Do you get reports of how things are going on in training all the time?
Twice a day.
He rings you twice a day?
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice, isn't it?
Before he goes to the gym, usually after his run or that, you know, whenever he's on his way out to the gym. And then at night, to tell me how he got on with his sparring and that.
Does Blaine miss his dad?
Had to lift him 2 nights in a row where he's crying in his sleep for Barry, you know. He's a real daddy's boy, he's not a mommy's boy at all.
Yes, of course he misses his dad, but there's nothing like a new toy to take your mind off things.
Right, you ready now? You ready? Watch.
Oh!
In Bangor, those 2 guys in the window are Barry's Panamanian sparring partners, important men. At dinner, Barry and his young brother-in-law Ross discuss what those 2 men have taught him about Pedroza's style.
You see, you learn so much from those guys inside. I thought I was able to cope with that style until I come up. Well, I thought I was able to cope with the American style. Those guys, I mean, they're completely different than American, really different. Good.
So 2 days to go. What are McGuigan's final thoughts on what lies ahead?
You know, it's going to be fantastic. I think it's going to be a bit special. So, as I say, I'm really looking forward to it. I just hope that I can make it all worthwhile for everybody. Those £100 each.
Well, I'm back in the dryness of the studio now at the television centre. In that clip you saw there, Barry was talking about the pressures of everybody in Northern Ireland expecting him to win. We've got a man with us who I think would understand that. Dennis Taylor, you know what it's like to be a hero in Northern Ireland. What are the pressures likely to be on Barry?
I think Barry would forget about that once he gets into the ring there. I know it's difficult because everybody wants him to win, and I think he's going to win, by the way. I just can feel that he's going to win because he's such a great fellow. I mean, I met him last week for the first time, and the whole camp there, all the Eastwoods, they're super people. And I mean, you can tell by just the program here the sort of person that Barry is. And I think he'll go out there and it'll spur him on rather than hinder him.
You think he's going to win, do you? Just tell me a little bit what you know about his style and his style of fighting compared with the other guy.
I haven't seen Pedroza at all, but I've watched all Barry's fights, and he just seems to improve every fight. And if he just can get rid of the pressure, I think once the bell goes in the first round, he'll go out there and, as I say, he knows everybody, not only in Northern Ireland and all of Ireland, but the whole of the UK. They're going to be right behind him, and I'm going to be there. It's my first title fight, and I should be right on the edge of the seat there, willing him to win.
Well, he's got good connections. I mean, we saw a bit of Barney Eastwood there, his manager, who, of course, is a millionaire, so
well,
that's not bad.
I met Barney last week as well for the first time, and in fact, somebody was telling me Barney wrote a cheque out last week and the bank bounced. So,
I wouldn't be at all surprised. He owns 33 betting shops. So anyway, you think McGuigan's going to win, do you?
I've got that feeling, because I know the response there was when I went back home to Northern Ireland, and the people from the Shankill, the Falls Road, all the areas. It's brilliant to see it. I mean, and even watching him on Wogan, terrific lad.
Okay, thanks very much, Dennis. Well, we've had a look at Barry the man. Let's look a little more closely at McGuigan's fighting style now, and it's analysed for us by Hugh McIlvanney of The Observer.
When he is appearing in public outside the ring, on occasions such as this presentation last October of a new award to the Boxer of the Year, McGuigan's modesty and natural grace spread warm. In the ring, what he generates is a fierce heat. Smiles and pleasantries didn't put these statistics on his current record. 23 of the 26 victims were stopped inside the distance. The one defeat was quickly avenged, and he's been improving relentlessly since he beat Vernon Penpraise for the British featherweight title.
Oh, what a left hand from McGuigan. Oh, and the legs have gone.
This left hook is perfectly executed, but it was meant to set up a sequence so it isn't as devastating as he can make that favourite punch.
Again, McGuigan, the left hand. And again, Penpraise not pleased about that left hand of McGuigan going in a little bit low, according to him. Just into the last half minute of the second round. A round very much Barry McGuigan's. And again the left hand, and Penpraise hasn't much answer. McGuigan gets him with the right this time. Well, Penpraise countering well. What a game fighter. McGuigan again, chopping viciously, and down he goes. Oh, look at the mess of that face. And it's been stopped. It's been stopped in the second round. Oh, it only lasted 2 rounds.
McGuigan's supreme asset may be body punching so brutal and sustained that it sometimes threatens to disembowel opponents. But his momentum can make the hooks go in too low. Pedroza may take that as a license to be extremely naughty. McGuigan's hands are larger than a man of his size might be expected to carry. Having those big, powerful clubs at the ends of the long arms he employs with such deadly timing is the most basic kind of advantage in his rough trade. Yet even these fists need to be protected, and the bandaging is careful. Once he had made himself overwhelmingly the best featherweight in these islands, Barry could turn to dominating Europe. Valerio Natti of Italy was unfortunate enough to be in his way.
All those shots are fierce. Now this might be the end for Natti. Round 6, and he cowers away from the punch. And it's surely all over. It was the body shots that got him.
At his best, McGuigan achieves a cumulative intensity few who face him can withstand. The body shots in particular soon persuaded Natti that the best thing about a ring shared with this young Irishman is the way out of it.
Obviously, I'll be throwing as many body shots as I can, because that's my best asset, is my left hook to the body. But I'll have to work on right hands over the top and left hooks. You know, right hands in particular that I haven't been throwing. I'm going to have to use both hands in this one, because there's no way I'm going to get away with winning the fight with one hand. I've got to use both hands.
After the demolition of Natti, Charm Chituli gave the prodigy a far more searching test on yet another clamorous night in the King's Hall, Belfast. But he too was seen off, and the way was clear for the match with Jose Caba of the Dominican Republic that introduced McGuigan to the dangerous Latin Americans who crowd the upper reaches of the featherweight division. He showed here that he was fit company for the best of them.
What an absolutely dazzling display this is from McGuigan. The night of his life and the fight of his life. It's all going right. And Carver again. It's all over. Jim Primmel's moved in. It's all over. And Carver's rescued. And McGuigan has won a fantastic victory in Belfast.
A few European pretenders had to be swept aside before he could concentrate again on the world title. It needed nothing more complicated than the old 1-2 to leave Esteban Eguía looking even older. Every outing confirmed that he had all the attacking equipment, a sickening jab, brilliantly fluid movement, murderous hooks to head and body. But could he take a big punch? Juan Laporte answered that. These vicious short punches were coming from a former world champion, famous as a heavy puncher. McGuigan was shaken but undeterred. And later, when Laporte battered our hero with a long, cruel right in the ninth, the effect was equally temporary. McGuigan went on to take a great points victory.
I fought both of them. The better boxer of the two is Pedroza, because he's got the skill, you know, and everything. Barry is a busy fighter. He's a busy fighter. He's always on you, throwing punches, you know, moving. But the skill, you know, Pedroza's has. He has it. Barry has the strength.
Juan Laporte has lost to both Pedroza and McGuigan. How would he bet on Saturday?
I think if Barry put pressure on Pedroza, I think he might put him out before the 6th or 7th round. But it depends. He can't just go in there and wait, because if he waits, he's going to stop himself.
That's a very interesting summing up there by Laporte. We've got Alan Minter, who later on will be telling us what he feels about this fight. Now, getting Eusebio Pedroza to fight McGuigan and to fight him on British soil was no easy matter. But one day last March, in a London hotel, he was finally cornered. But they'd been up all night arguing.
It was just after dawn when Pedroza at last agreed he would put up the title. Barney Eastwood, McGuigan's manager, had chased Pedroza all over the world. Appointments were broken. Once a table was flung over in anger. Deals had a way of collapsing at the last moment. But now the signature was on the dotted line, even if it had taken all night. In this, his 20th defence, Pedroza is already among the all-time great featherweight champions, like Tony Canzonieri, the Italian-American, who won the title in 1928 and went on to win world titles at 2 other weights. And the unique Henry Armstrong, Hammering Hank, the human buzzsaw, also from the States, who held feather, light and welterweight world titles, amazingly, all at the same time. And the wonderful Willie Pep, another American, who won the title at 20 in 1942 and didn't lose it for another 6 years. When he did, it went to Sandy Sadler, seen here beating Ray Famichon of France in 1954. Sadler and Pep had 4 epic fights. Sadler won 3 of them. And here's Hogan Kid Bassi from Nigeria, winning the vacant world title against Sharif Hamir of France in 1957. We could almost claim Bassi as one of our own. He was based here. Howard Winston most definitely was one of ours, a Welshman, who won the vacant title in 1968, a supreme boxing artist. And Pedroza is certainly that. Back in 1976, when he was only 20, he lost a fight for the world bantamweight title. He's never lost a title fight since. He won the featherweight crown in 1978 from Cecilio Lastra of Spain, and since then 19 challengers have come along and all have been repelled. He hasn't lost any fight at all for just on 9 years, but noticeably as the years have gone by, so his style has changed. Here he is in a very early defence in 1979, attacking the Japanese boxer Royal Kobayashi. It's an all-or-nothing whirlwind style, which he rarely displays today. His 3 defeats long ago were all inside the distance against good punchers because he was so open. Today the style is more cagey. He lays back and waits for the challenger to come at him, which McGuigan will surely do. He's no hometown fighter. If you include Britain, he's defended in 9 countries in all, but he may miss the fanatical support he gets in Panama City, where this non-title fight against Gerald Hayes of the States took place last year. Pedroza's going all out to finish him. Even so, you can see he picks his punches carefully. The whole setup is tighter.
Now the crowd standing for Pedroza.
That's his weakness, is the left hook to the chin. And a straight right to his chin. That's his weakness. He comes right in at it. Because he likes to throw a lot of bowler punch. And while he's going to throw a bowler punch, he opens up for a right hand and a left hook.
Laporte had his fill of Pedroza in Atlantic City in 1982. This was the fight in which Pedroza was said to have fouled his opponent 50 times in 15 rounds. There's no question, he does use his elbows illegally. But so far, no referee's ever done more than caution him. Those elbows are just one of the problems facing Barry McGuigan.
Well, we have the former world middleweight champion, Alan Minter, with us. There isn't much question about those elbows, Alan, is there? He's a bit dirty with them.
Yeah, he is dirty, but I believe, Harry, that he won't be able to go down to the dirty tricks department against McGuigan. There he had a guy in trouble, and he could think about using his elbows. But with Barry, Barry's going to be buzzing and buzzing all the time. And he's going to have a lot on his plate before he can do that dirty tricks.
Did you tend to agree with Laporte, who said that he thought McGuigan could stop him inside 6 rounds?
I think McGuigan could stop him because Barry is an exceptional fighter. I mean, he's got all the aspects to make a great champion. He's got fast hands, he's got great condition, he's got stamina, good reflexes, he's fast, he's got the ability to knock a man out with either hand. So I think, you know, Laporte, Pedroza being tall, Barry can go straight to the body, and that left hook to the body is a wicked, wicked punch.
Now, you saw that bit of film earlier on when the two of them met today.
Yeah.
And I don't think McGuigan was too keen on meeting Pedroza. It seemed to me that Pedroza was anxious to sort of upstage him, and Barry didn't want it. What do you feel? Would you like to meet your opponent 48 hours before a world title?
No, I never did, because the thing is, you're training for the most important fight of your life. A dream's coming true all of a sudden. You're fighting for the championship of the world. You don't want to meet your opponent until that night in the ring. I mean, you don't want to shake his hand and say, how you getting on? You just don't want to see him. You know, your mind is, all you want to do is train, get yourself in great condition, and you want to see that guy on the night of the fight in the opposite corner.
Now, if you were in Barry's corner, sending him out for this, you know, the greatest night of his life, what would be the last instruction to him as he went out to meet Pedroza? What would you say to him?
Well, I would say, you know, keep a tight guard, go out there, get into a nice rhythm, start bobbing and weaving, and start whacking them body shots in. See, Barry's a thinking fighter, which there aren't too many around, unfortunately. What he tends to do, he sort of fades to the head, shoots to the body, or looks to the body and shoots to the head. He's thinking all the time, which is a great asset in a fighter. You know, and with that sort of man in front of you, a man that's buzzing, it's very hard to do any dirty tricks because you're thinking, well, where's his punches coming from next? You know, I think he'd be told just to go out there, keep a tight defence, and take the fight.
Well, there's a lot of nice optimism in the studio tonight, and let's hope it's fully justified. I think we ought not to forget that Pedroza is one of the great champions of all times, and he has defended it successfully 19 times. Undoubtedly, it is going to be a great fight. And the three of us will be there at the ringside on Saturday night at QPR, and I hope you will join us on BBC One. Now, good night.